My name is Morgan Sterling. I'm 32 years old, and I'm a high-profile criminal defense attorney in Chicago. 3 days ago, my twin sister walked into my law office covered in bruises so severe I barely recognized her. When she told me her husband did this, I made a decision that would change both our lives forever. I swapped places with her, and I made damn sure he would never forget it. You see, when your identical twin shows up bleeding and broken, begging you not to call the police because she's too scared, something inside you just snaps. I've spent 10 years defending the law. Never did I think I'd have to bend it to save my own sister, but here we are, and I'd do it all over again. If this story resonates with you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe so you never miss stories like this, and comment below what city are you watching from. I want to know how far this message reaches. Now, let me tell you exactly how I taught that monster a lesson. I need you to understand something about me and my sister. We're not just twins. We're identical. Same face, same voice, same mannerisms. Growing up, even our parents couldn't tell us apart sometimes. We used to switch places in school, fool our teachers, play pranks on our friends. It was all fun and games back then, innocent. We were inseparable, two halves of the same soul. That's what our mother used to say. But life has a way of pulling people apart, doesn't it? After college, I went to law school. Sienna became a specialized preschool teacher. I moved to the heart of the city, working 80-hour weeks at a prestigious firm, clawing my way up to partner. She stayed in our quiet suburb teaching kids how to read. I was chasing success. She was chasing peace, normalcy, a family. And that's when she met Grant Holloway. God, I should have seen it coming. I should have paid more attention, but I was too busy building my career, taking depositions, winning cases, making a name for myself. I missed the warning signs. I missed everything. Grant seemed perfect at first. A senior investment banker. Good job. Decent money. Charming as hell. The kind of man who opens doors and pulls out chairs and says all the right things. At their wedding, he gave this speech about how Sienna was the best thing that ever happened to him. How he'd spent his whole life making her happy. I remember looking at my sister in her white dress, glowing with hope and thinking, she deserves this. She deserves to be loved like this. I was a damn fool. The distance between us grew after the wedding. At first, I thought it was natural. She had a husband now, then a baby, my niece Maya. I had cases stacking up, clients demanding my attention. We went from talking every day to once a week, then once a month, then just holidays and birthdays. And every time I saw her, she seemed smaller, quieter, like someone was slowly turning down her volume, dimming her light. I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself marriage changes people, motherhood changes people. I told myself a lot of lies because the truth was too horrifying to face. My twin sister, my other half, was being destroyed right in front of me, and I was too blind to see it until 3 days ago. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because Tuesdays are my light days, just paperwork, no court appearances. I was in my office reviewing case files, sipping cold coffee when my secretary buzzed in. Her voice had this edge to it, this concern. "Miss Sterling, your sister is here, but Morgan, she doesn't look good." My heart dropped before I even saw her. I told my secretary to send her in and to hold all my calls. The door opened and I looked up, and I swear to God, for a second, I didn't recognize the woman standing there. She was wearing sunglasses indoors in my office, with no windows facing the sun, long sleeves despite it being 85 degrees outside, a turtleneck in the middle of summer, and she was limping, favoring her left side like every step sent pain shooting through her body. Sienna. I stood up, my attorney brain already clicking into overdrive, cataloguing details, building a case before I even knew what the case was. "What's wrong? What happened?" She didn't answer, just stood there trembling. I walked around my desk, closed the distance between us, and locked my office door. Privacy. Whatever was about to happen needed privacy. "Take off the sunglasses," I said. My voice came out harder than I intended, but I was scared. Terrified actually because I already knew. Somewhere deep in my gut, I already knew. She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. And that's when I saw them, the bruises on her neck, finger-shaped, 4 on one side, 1 on the other. Someone had choked my sister. I reached up and pulled the sunglasses off her face myself. And what I saw, Jesus Christ, what I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. Her left eye was swollen shut, the skin around it a deep purple black. Her lip was split, still crusty with dried blood. There was a gash on her cheekbone that should have had stitches but didn't. And her eyes, the one that could still open, it was dead, empty, like someone had reached inside her and scooped out everything that made her Sienna and left behind just a shell. Who did this? I asked, but I already knew the answer. There's only one person who gets that close, who has that kind of access. Morgan, please. Her voice was a whisper, broken and hoarse. Please don't call the police. Please, he'll kill me. He said, if I ever told anyone, he'd kill me. Roll up your sleeves. I wasn't asking. I was telling, using my courtroom voice. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. So I reached out and pushed up her sleeves myself. And oh God, the map of hell that was revealed, bruises everywhere, old yellow ones fading into new purple ones, belt marks across her forearms where she'd tried to protect herself, circular burn marks, cigarette burns dotting her skin like some sick constellation, defensive wounds on her hands and on her wrists, rope burns. He'd tied her up. That son of a had tied up my sister. I felt something inside me break. No, not break. Shatter. A rage so pure and hot it burned through every professional boundary. How long? I managed to ask through clenched teeth. 3 years, she said so quietly I almost didn't hear. It started about 6 months after we got married. 3 years of this hell and I hadn't known. Tell me everything, I said. From the beginning, every detail. And so she told me. It started small. Control disguised as care. Grant wanted to know where she was all the time. He started criticizing her clothes. Too tight, too revealing. Then it was her friends. He said they were bad influences, then it was me. He said I made Sienna feel bad about her life, that I was always showing off my success. So the calls stopped, the visits stopped. He isolated her completely. The first time he hit her was a Thursday night. She remembered it because she'd forgotten to put the trash out. Such a small thing. But Grant came home drunk, and something in him just snapped. He grabbed her by the hair, dragged her outside, and slammed her face into the bin. He apologized the next morning, brought flowers, cried, swore it would never happen again. But it did. Every time he lost money on the stock market, and he gambled constantly on risky trades. He came home and took it out on her. And speaking of his family, his mother, Beatrice, moved in with them a year into the marriage, and that's when things got exponentially worse. Beatrice didn't just enable him, she participated. Sienna told me about the psychological torture, how Beatrice would criticize her cooking, her cleaning, her parenting. And then there was Morgana, Grant's sister, named similarly to me, which made it feel like a sick joke. She moved in rent-free, treated Sienna like a servant, and if Sienna ever pushed back, she'd run to Grant. But the thing that made me see red was what she told me about Maya, my niece, 5 years old. He hit her, Sienna said, her voice cracking. Last night, Maya was crying because she was scared, and Grant told her to shut up. When she couldn't stop, he slapped her across the face. Morgan, she's 5, and I tried to stop him. He grabbed me by the throat and choked me. Beatrice and Morgana just stood there watching. Then they joined in. They shoved dirty rags in my mouth to shut me up. My vision went red. You won't have to do this anymore, I said. Give me 3 days, just 3 days of your life, and I promise you he'll never touch you again. She looked at me like I was crazy. We're going to switch places, I said. You stay at my apartment, safe. I'm going to walk into that house as Sienna, and I'm going to make Grant Holloway regret he was ever born. Morgan, no, he's dangerous. I smiled. Let him try. You have to understand, I'm not Sienna. I look like her, but I'm different. I box 3 times a week. I spar. I know how to take a punch, and I know how to throw one. When I walked into that house on Wednesday evening, I wasn't scared. I was a loaded gun. Beatrice was there drinking wine. Sienna, where have you been? Dinner isn't even started. I made myself smaller, hunched my shoulders, and walked into the kitchen. Then Morgana sauntered in, demanding a soda. I brought it to her, memorizing her face, thinking of how I'd make her pay. Then Maya came down. She crept like a mouse. "Mommy," she whispered. I knelt down and held her, making a silent promise. This ends now. At 8 o'clock, Grant came home. I could smell the bourbon. "Sienna, where's my dinner?" He sat down, took a bite of the steak I'd deliberately under-seasoned. "This tastes like cardboard." He stood up, approaching me like a predator. He raised his hand for a slap, his usual opening move. I caught his wrist mid-air. The shock on his face was beautiful. I squeezed. Hard. "Not tonight, Grant," I said. He tried to pull free and couldn't. I held him for 3 seconds before releasing him. He stumbled back, cradling his wrist. "Kesha, how dare you?" Beatrice gasped. I just walked away and put Maya to bed, reading her a story about a princess who saves herself. At 11 o'clock, Beatrice and Morgana came to my door to teach me respect. Morgana shoved me. "Don't touch me again," I said. She shoved me harder. I didn't move. "Let me explain something," I said, my voice ice cold. "I've documented everything. Felony domestic violence, conspiracy, accessory to assault. In this state, that's 10 years. You two are guests in a house that's in my name. Go to your rooms." They went pale and retreated. The next morning, Grant tried to assert control in the bedroom. He grabbed my arm, digging his fingers in. "I don't know what's gotten into you, but you're nothing without me." He pulled back a closed fist to punch. I shifted my weight, deflected his arm, and swept his legs. He crashed to the floor. I stood over him. "Don't ever try that again." He did what abusers do when they lose physical control. He called the police. I met them with a folder, medical records, photos of bruises, and a video from a hidden camera I'd installed showing him grabbing me. The officers told Grant he was lucky he wasn't being arrested. He was mute with rage. That evening, Morgana brought over her boyfriend, a guy named Jax, to intimidate me. He reached for me and I used a basic judo throw. He crashed through the coffee table. "That's assault," I told him, "and I have it on camera. Run." He ran. That night, I heard them plotting to drug my coffee with sleeping pills and have me committed to a psych ward so Grant could get sole custody. The next morning, Beatrice brought me the coffee. I pretended to drink it and then pretended to pass out. When they thought I was out, they started laughing. I opened my eyes and sat up. "Attempted poisoning is a Class B felony, Beatrice." I sat them down at the table. I spread out the evidence, the gambling debts, the videos, the audio of them plotting to drug me. "You have 2 choices," I said. "Option 1, I go to the DA, and you all go to prison for 40 years. Option 2, Grant signs these divorce papers, gives full custody to Sienna, pays $3,000 a month in support, and you all move out in 24 hours. They signed. Grant's hand was shaking so hard he could barely hold the pen. I brought Sienna and Maya home. The look on their faces when they saw both of us standing there side by side was the ultimate payout. "My sister saved me," Sienna told them. "I changed the locks, installed a security system, and watched my sister come back to life." Maya stopped flinching. Sienna started laughing again. "People ask if I regret it. No, not for 1 second. The system is built to protect abusers, so I became the system. I'm Morgan Sterling, I'm 32, I'm an attorney, and I saved my sister. Silence is what kills. So let's make some noise. What city are you watching from? Tell me your story below. You are not alone."